Good evening. Welcome to the Spiritual But Not Religious Show. I'm your host, George Lewis. Welcome to our show tonight. Tom, we've got audio coming from that room in there that needs to be shut down. I've got a superb guest tonight. This gentleman has, I think, second only to Edgar Cayce as far as the archives of work that he's produced, he and who he channels. It's Rene and Maggie Gaudette are with us tonight. They channel a group called The Wonders, and we'll find out about that a bit later. In the meantime, let me tell you a little bit about Spiritual Broadcasting Network, what we're here for and what we're trying to do, what we're doing, actually. The spiritual but not religious community is a huge community. It's grown tremendously in the last 20, 25 years. A lot of people have left the church, and they still believe in God. They still have a higher power at the center of their belief system, but they just don't necessarily aren't able to deal with all the things that go on in a church, and so they've left the church. And because of that, there's no real community and there's no real gathering place. The other thing is we're a very, very diverse crowd. I mean, we've got every kind of belief system that you can think about. And so what the Spiritual Broadcasting Network is about is bringing that community together, having a place where our voice can be heard. And we have, of course, the Spiritual But Not Religious show, but we'll have other shows coming this fall for you that cover the gambit. So stay tuned with us, watch what we're doing, and you'll find, I'm sure that you'll find something to please you as far as your belief system, and maybe some new things that you like to take a look at. Also, if you've got some suggestions, there's at our website there. You can flip us an email. We're really wide open to hearing what you have to say. If you have a guest you think might be really good on the show, we're interested in that also. So with that, I think we're ready to go. Tom, have you got Rene and Maggie on the line?
I do, George.
Are you able to hear me, Rene and Maggie?
Yes, we are.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I've spent a lot of time with your material, I don't know if you call them readings or exactly what you do call them, but it's very impressive, Rene, and I thoroughly enjoy what I'm hearing. You're considerably different from a lot of the other channelers out there. But before we get into that part of it, the channeling part of it, I want to talk with Rene and Maggie about where you two are from, how you got together, and where were you born and raised, Rene?
I was born in northern Ontario, Canada.
Uh-huh.
Raised mostly in eastern Ontario, Canada. I spent most of my life in Cornwall, Ontario.
Uh-huh.
And then moved around from there, Toronto, places all around Toronto, Ontario,
Sure.
Canada. Basically, I've just been a little Ontario guy,
And Maggie, is Maggie from Ontario also? Are you from Ontario, Maggie?
I am. I was born in Toronto, and I've lived pretty much most of my life in this area.
Well, we've got a lot of friends in Toronto. We've had several guests from Toronto. Toronto's quite a spiritual hub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's to me, from what I can see, it's very much like the Sedona of Canada, if you're familiar with Sedona, Arizona.
Oh, yes, we are.
Yeah, very.
We've been there. Yep.
We've been there.
It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Good place to retire.
Little too dry for my taste. I'm here in Florida. We got a little more humidity here. I don't deal with it.
But you also have hurricanes.
Well, we do, but wherever you live, there's something. And the good part about
Florida.
The good part about
Yeah.
you get down here occasionally.
Oh, yes.
I'll tell you what. You get down here to the West Coast, and you'll have to contact me, and we'll get together and have some coffee.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Actually, we'll probably be down there this year, later on in the fall.
Well, great. We're in Sarasota. I don't know if you've been in this area, but Sarasota is a gorgeous place. Our Siesta Key beach is a world famous beach.
Cool.
I think it's like the second best beach in the state of Florida. So,
we'll have to go down.
Rene, what were you raised in a particular religious faith?
Yes, I was raised Catholic.
Uh-huh.
I am definitely not Catholic. I'm spiritual.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I gave that up a long time ago. I gave that up when I was about 14, when the priest couldn't answer my questions.
And some of them even get offended that you ask.
Yes, exactly. So when now all of that happened, I decided to move away from that. But I didn't get into really channeling per se until I was in my 40s.
Right.
And that was because I spent my life trying to fit into everybody. I was a really weird kind of kid when I grew up. I was channeling when I was 3.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, my parents took me to see a psychiatrist, thinking that I was a little crazy. And, of course, that kind of put the scare in me. And after that, it was like I learned to not talk about what I could do. Then I learned to avoid it completely. Then I learned to fit in. Then I got married and had the kids and the house and the picket fence and all that stuff. Then when I was about 37, decided that I couldn't do this anymore, I left that relationship completely and moved on with my life. And it was many years later, about 10 years later, that I met Maggie.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, it was like, yeah, okay. By that time, I was already channeling, and I was looking for that one person that would be there with me that I was looking for. It was always Maggie all along, but she didn't show up until I was 47. So
time and a place for everything, huh?
yeah, she's a little slow sometimes. You know? She doesn't show up on time.
Maggie, I might know you'd get the blame for this, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we just had a guest on who wrote a book about how to be able to raise children who are connected with this spirituality, because there's a lot of children that are early on, but we train them out of it, and that can't be, like, no, you know this and know that, and because it's not our personal experience.
Right.
Were you exposed before this to the Sleeping Prophets readings, Edgar Casey?
No.
Had you done?
It wasn't until after I'd left my first wife that a friend of mine took me to see a channeler, and he told me I had to go see a psychic. At that point, I had never been to a psychic in my life. I didn't know what a psychic was.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, yeah, right, a psychic. Oh, yeah, sure. So I went to see the guy, and as soon as he lay in his chair, I said, that's what I'm supposed to do. Thank you. I don't need this session now. And that was it.
And that was the end of that. So how did you make a living up to that point? I assume that now you do this work full time based on the volumes of work that you've got going on. You must.
Before that, I used to be an accountant.
An accountant. Boy, there's a left brain to a right brain twist for you.
Yeah. I certainly switched, didn't I?
Yeah, and I got the better of that deal, I think.
I think so too.
Boy.
I think so. I'm finally doing what I really want. This is my passion. This is what I wanted to do all my life, and I just avoided it, wasn't connected to it, and finally I just realized I didn't have any more time to waste. I had to do this.
Unfortunately, fear keeps us from making the right choices so very often.
Yeah.
What made you decide that? Well, first of all, how did you come in contact with the Wonders, and tell us a bit about who the Wonders are.
Well, when I started channeling, the very first I started channeling, I channeled at that point, what I knew was a very high consciousness, but I didn't know what it was.
Right.
And then I got scared, stopped for channeling for 2 years because everybody told me I had to be responsible and everything else, and I kept thinking, if I'm not here, how can I be responsible? Because that's really what channeling is removing yourself completely.
Absolutely.
And then with the Wonders, then they started coming through a little bit more, and we didn't know what they were, but I finally realized that I had to call them something, and then I asked them who they were, and they said at the time, well, we don't care what you call us, but, it's up to you to decide what you want to call us. And then at that point, the name The Wonders came up, and I thought that was pretty appropriate. It was, I wonder who they are, and they're absolutely wonderful.
Are there the Wonders? Right? I wonder who the Wonders are, huh?
That's right. I wonder who. Yeah.
So there's a song in that.
And then from there, it was just a question of asking them all about themselves and what they were all about. And they were the ones that described themselves. They said that if they gave us a model that we could live with, if we thought of them as basically 3,000 to 4,000 entities on a 29th dimension of reality, where all reality was 32 dimensions, God, as the all that is, would be on the 32nd. We would be on the 3rd. They'd be on the 29th. And they gave us that model, and they said that over the years they said it was just a model. It was just to satisfy our mind's idea of how to relate to them.
Uh-huh.
Because really they are so much more.
Well, I think that, the big problem is as I see it, is that we're kind of like stick people trying to understand shadows.
Yeah.
And that's just not, it's just almost all but impossible.
Yeah.
So what convinced you that you were talking with something that was real?
It was, when it happened, it was just such an amazing consciousness that came through. And at the time I said, because when I first started channeling, I was channeling, like people's parents and grandparents, people that were dead and that kind of stuff. And I thought, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
that's just not what I want to do. So I said at that point, I said, the only way I'll channel is if I can channel the highest consciousness that could ever come through the world at any point in time. That was my choice. And at that point, the wonders came through. And
well, I think that that choice thing is so important. I'm convinced that plumbers make plumbers' wages and become plumbers, and firemen become firemen, and presidents because that's the highest they believe they can become.
Yes.
I mean, not that any of those are higher or lower, but that's just the most that we can see.
Well, look at it this way: if you were the best plumber that can possibly be, it's just as good as being the president of the United States.
Oh, absolutely. Yep, no question.
So I chose this high consciousness, and really, over the years, like I said, the wonders have expressed themselves in many, many ways. At first, there was no way that I would ever want them to consider themselves as God. I was not interested in channeling God. Too many people channel God.
Yeah, way too many. Tell me, you mentioned there's 2,000 to 4,000.
3,000 to 4,000.
3,000 to 4,000. So they must come through in one voice, or do you speak to different ones?
No, they come through as one. It's just a model. They said it was just a way for us, because they said it could have just as easily said 3 to 4 trillion. Can you imagine trying to wrap our minds around that number?
Some of the stuff's hard to wrap our minds around, period.
Yeah, so 3 to 4,000 was an easier number, that's all.
So there are some defining statements that tell us a bit about the defining statements.
Well, when the wonders came through, they gave us, after a while, after we started channeling, they gave us 6 statements that define all of existence, no matter where you are in existence. And they're 6 of the most amazing statements, if you think about it. The first one is, existence is but an extension of yourself. Then I am sufficient. Then I am limitless. My choice and reflect my limitlessness. And then that which you are is that which I am, and that which I am is that which you are. And that which you choose, you do so out of joy, and all that I am is love, all that you are is love. If you think of those 6 statements, they are the most amazing statements. They reflect all of existence, no matter where you are, no matter what level. Even God, Goddess, all that is reflected in those statements. So it's a great way for us to explore all of existence.
They also make for a great set of checks and balances as to, like how real is this conversation we're having.
Yes. Yes. Well, you think about it. That which you are is that which I am, and that which I am is that which you are. What a great way to live your life.
Absolutely, yeah. Things would change dramatically, and if we all were able to do that.
Yeah, if you consider that everything that you see in another is that which you see in yourself. Everything that you see in yourself is in another. So why would you choose to harm another when it would mean you choose to harm yourself? Why would you choose to harm yourself if it meant that you were going to harm another?
Unfortunately, we have a lot of people in the world who do choose to harm themselves, whether it's subconscious or consciously. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So what's the impact of those statements been on your life, personally?
Well, personally, look at us now.
Changed everything, huh?
Yes. It's created a whole life. It's a lot of... I'm the kind of guy who would have gladly, even though I wanted to get the wonders out to the whole world, I would have gladly sat in my chair in my house and never gone out anywhere to do this. And Maggie is the one that came in and said, no, we got to put this out. And thank goodness for her, because she's the support. She's the foundation that helps me go out and do all of this stuff. And with the wonders' help, it allowed me to expand myself so that now I'm having conversations with people like you, all over the world, people all over the world. We do broadcasting like you do and everything else.
Right.
And all because I'm able to allow myself to just do it, as opposed to hiding from the world, which is really what my personality would have been like 10, 15 years ago.
I totally understand that. Are you familiar with the Jane Roberts and the Seth materials back
Yes.
in the...
Very complicated stuff.
Very complicated, and it was also her husband who brought all this forward. And,
Yes.
Yeah. Do you happen to read the book that she wrote? This wasn't one she channeled, but one she wrote herself called Oversoul 7.
Oh, I love that book.
That's a fantastic book, wasn't it? It changed my
Yes.
whole viewpoint, my whole
Yes.
life.
I read all of the Oversoul 7 series.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
Yeah, they were fun. But, it's funny, interestingly enough, too, those are the ones that I read when I first began my own personal journey, before I even started channeling.
Right.
And I read that. I read Richard Bach, The Illusions of the Reluctant Messiah. I don't know if you know that one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's a good one, too. And I've read a lot of them. And then I read Lazarus and Ptah and Orion and all of those other books as well. And all of that was what I was doing at the beginning.
Yes.
But once I started channeling the wonders, it was just like all of that material, as interesting as it was, and as much as it helped me at that point in time in my life, it was like the wonders were taking me to the next level.
Well, I think those readings for me were door openers.
Yes.
And allowed me to be able to take in things that are more powerful and a higher consciousness. I think is probably a good way to sum it up.
Yes. Absolutely. They're great door openers.
Yeah.
But you can't stay there.
No. Well, same way with Carlos Castaneda's work,
Yes.
Although there was a lot of drugs involved and all that, at least it broke the consciousness and, broke through and allows us to think of some other dimension as a possibility.
Yes. And it opens the mind to new ideas and new concepts. And that's wonderful. I mean, I don't minimize it at all. All the material that came through before the wonders is really amazing material. There's still some amazing material coming through right now.
Well, it's probably necessary for what the wonders are talking about. That was probably necessary as a precursor for people to even comprehend what this message. That
Yeah, and that's the beauty of what's going on in the world right now. There are so many good channelers out there, really expressing themselves, and it's laying a foundation of acceptability, if you want to call it that, in the mainstream society. We're starting to see things now in the movies and television where it's becoming more and more acceptable, which is great.
I started all this metaphysical journey in 1972, and I owned a head shop at the time. Mm-hmm. And so, then, not now, but then drugs were a part of my world, and they did play a part, although the problem with drugs is where they can lead you to and the dangers that are involved with it.
Yeah.
So
I never did drugs.
Well, I can't say you missed anything that was all that worthwhile. I've had highs that far outweigh anything that I found in the way of artificial highs, for sure. So, unless you've got something you would like to add, Maggie, we didn't talk about you very much, dear.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You're used to being in the background from what it looks like.
Yeah, she's the silent one, but
yes.
she's the one that's the force.
Well,
she keeps the force.
Yes.
I totally understand that. It's really great to have a partner who understands. I come across so many. Women are really involved in this more than men overall.
Yes.
And oftentimes their mate is just discounts the whole thing and looks away, and so it's not the easiest thing. So to have a mate who really supports you is pretty good stuff.
Yes.
Pretty good stuff.
Like I keep saying, like what Maggie does is she gives me that whole state of comfort, if you want to call it that the state of trust where I know that I can let go, and that even though I'm not in my body, that my body will be well taken care of.
While you're actually doing the channeling, are you conscious and are you aware, or do you leave?
No, I go off completely. I am not conscious and aware. Sometimes I pop back in and out, but most times I'm not here at all. I like to go out and play in the universe. I have fun there. And what happens is I come back I have dreams and impressions.
Right.
And that's usually what I put all of that on the recordings as well, because sometimes they have value, sometimes they don't. But usually, I'm so gone. I love traveling. I'm on a trip that it's even better than any drug you'd ever take.
Oh, I'm absolutely sure of that.
But Maggie gives me that stability. I can do that. I can let go completely, knowing that I'm well taken care of. Whereas if you don't have somebody like Maggie as a partner, you can't really fully let go. Part of you has to stay here.
Absolutely. That feeling of safety is really essential.
Yeah.
Well, with all of that, what do you think, Maggie? Shall we bring the wonders on?
Sure.
Sounds great.
Okay.
You ready?
I'll set my love. Please envelop this entity so completely in love that all needs, wants, and desires are chosen.
And greetings.
Greetings, wonders.
Greetings, Maggie.
Would you please go to whom, to where, and to when you are directed? Please locate your facilitator, Maggie Gaudette, on October 5th, 2010.
Yes, we have you.
We are gathered here at 8361 11th Line, our number 2, Thornton, Ontario, to do a general session for the Spiritual Broadcasting Network show with host George Lewis, located at 13703 2nd Avenue East, Lakewood Ranch, Florida.
Yes, we have this.
Thank you. May we begin?
Please.
Okay, George.
Good evening, welcome, and thank you for coming to speak with us this evening. We have a host of people listening, and a host of people will be coming back to see to hear and see the archived version, and we're just really pleased that you're here. I have a host of questions that I'd like to ask. However, before I do that, I'd like to give you the opportunity to say anything that you would like to, and then I can get into the questions if you like.
No, go ahead and ask your questions. It's more fun that way.
Absolutely. So, from what I've seen and heard, I've watched and listened to a good bit of your wonderful information. What's your purpose in all of this? What's your purpose with humanity?
We're here to expand the consciousness of humanity so that humanity can shift and alter itself, move away from the path of self-destruction that it's on presently. Humanity is really moving towards a path of self-destruction. It's moving there diligently, and it's not yet ready to expand itself. The only way that humanity will shift away from its path of self-destruction is to empower itself, and we don't see that occurring yet. The best that we can do at this stage is to provide opportunity for choice to gain self-empowerment.
One of the major things that I and Spiritual Broadcasting Network are involved in is really basically what you're talking about, is to bring people to a consciousness that we don't have to remain caught in the false pride and ego and the war and the self-destruction, that we can change. And there does seem to be in the last 25 years, a big change in the amount of people who believe that it's a possibility. Is that?
Agreed. However, you'll recognize that this is still such a small number. And even those who believe that possibility is the change is possible, they themselves are not choosing to change. The only way humanity will actually shift from a path of self-destruction is through actual choice. Not simply gaining a belief, gaining an idea, a construct, but to actually choose to change.
Right.
And dear friend, this requires a willingness on the part of every individual to change, to truly choose to empower themselves. And you don't empower yourself by buying into fear, by letting fear take over for you. Do you think?
I work with a large group of people who are really kind of forced into either change or die or go insane or get locked up. And I work a lot with addicts and alcoholics, and and finding people who, like you say, really want to change, other than just the lip service. They're few and far between. The percentages are low, like you say, no question.
Agreed. And that's the difficulty. There are many, many sources out there of, call it movement, sources that provide guidance, sources that provide titillating mind candy to keep yourself occupied, to give yourself the perspective of change, while all the same time continuing to do the very same thing. The ego and the mind is not the place to change. The change must come from the self.
Right.
In commanding the mind. The mind is a powerful tool. It's so powerful it can create life and death. But if it's not commanded, it will run your life. And this is what we're observing in humanity. Humanity has given its power, individuals themselves, and that humanity as a total has given its power away to the mind. The mind, unfortunately, is running the farm, so to speak. You see?
Well, in my estimation, my experience, that's exactly the problem, and power is what this is all about. Is recognizing the power that we truly do have and being responsible to use it appropriately.
So, may we ask you a question, dear?
Sure.
What is your perspective of power? What is your true power?
Well, true power to me is knowing who I am and what power I have, and that power really is over myself, my mind, my emotions, and my own feelings.
May we give you another definition?
I'm open.
Your true power is your ability to choose.
Right.
That's it. Everything else you said is a complication by the mind trying to obfuscate your awareness of your true power.
It seems to me, and I may be off base here, that without knowing those things, I don't know which choices to make.
There's the mind talking.
Okay.
You see, the mind wants to know how, which one, what's best. So the mind gets into judgments, rights and wrongs, goods and bads. But in actual fact, if you recognize that your power comes from your ability to choose,
right?
You choose, and then you choose again, and then you choose again, and then you choose again. You don't like that choice? Choose again. You don't want that choice? Choose again. You like that choice? Choose again. You want that choice? Choose again.
What seems
if
to
you
me
recognize this as your power, then you'll recognize that everything comes down to choice.
Well, it seems to me that choice thing is going on all the time anyhow.
It's only going on through your mind right now. Your mind is creating choice, but based on judgment. Every choice that you're making right now in your life is based on a judgment of right and wrong, good and bad.
Uh-huh.
Take away right and wrong, good and bad, what have you got? You've just got choice.
Right.
So it doesn't matter whether or not you spend X amount of time justifying your choice, X amount of time appreciating your choice or going on about it afterwards. The bottom line is, it's not the past, it's not the future, it's now, and all you have is the opportunity directly in front of you now. Not 10 seconds from now, now. So what do you choose?
Well, I'm not at all arguing the point with that. But I do know that if I have a feeling that comes up that, the choice is between hurting someone and not hurting someone, if I haven't thought it through, I can harm someone in that process. And as I understand it, that's one of our big problems is our urge towards self-destruction.
Agreed. But notice we said self-destruction. We didn't say the destruction of the others.
Right.
So it's not that you can harm another.
Uh-huh.
You cannot choose to harm another. Another must choose to be harmed first and foremost.
Right.
So it's not your actions that will harm them. It's not your inactions that will harm them. It's their choice and their perceptions of harm that will create harm for them. If you look beyond that, go beyond just the physical, go beyond the illusion that you call life, that you call reality around you.
Right.
And go past that, and you'll start to recognize that all that's left beyond that, if you take away all that judgment is what creates your illusion of life, by the way. Go beyond that, and you'll recognize that what you have is nothing more than choice of self. Now, if that is who you are, then that is your power, and that is also your brilliance. So your power and your choice and your brilliance becomes the very choice of your existence. Why would you choose anything, absolutely anything, that would detract, take away from you, contract you? When you recognize that every choice you make is a choice to expand your experience of existence. The only reason you're here, George, is to experience the experience of existence.
Right.
That's it. For no other reason. You're not here to become a spiritual guru. You're not here to become a guide light for anybody else. You're not here to change the world. You're here to experience the experience of existence. How you choose to do that is up to your ego and your mind.
Uh-huh.
But you're here to experience that experience of existence. So in that experience, the only thing that moves that creates movement in existence is choice. And that's your power. That's where your power comes from. Now imagine, and let's put it to you in a practical way. Imagine you're standing in front of 3 people who want to beat you up.
Right.
Each one is intent. One has a hammer, one has a screwdriver, and one has a baseball bat. They all want to harm you. Now, you could choose to stand there and say to yourself, I cannot be harmed unless I choose to allow it. I cannot be harmed unless I choose to allow it. Not believing one word of it, of course.
Sure.
At which point the 3 of them will jump you, and of course you will be harmed.
And yes.
Or you can choose to recognize that it is your ability to choose that is the true power. And when you choose to own that ability, you then project such an amazing energy of power that in conversing with those 3 individuals and just telling them these words, are you certain that you want to choose to harm yourself? That alone, with such power, would shift that whole circumstance, and those 3 individuals would walk away from you.
Right.
You think?
I hear and see what you're saying. I'm not sure that I'm at that point because I know there are individuals to who that statement would not have any effect. Now, the choice before that as to what got me in front of them,
yeah,
that would have a huge bearing on this whole thing.
Well, as we said recently, sometimes in life shit happens.
Shit happens, and that's for sure.
And that's why you were in front of those 3. You see? It's not because you made the choice to specifically place yourself there. It's you chose to walk down this road. They chose to walk down that road, and shit happens.
Right.
You see?
Right.
But the key here is to understand what we mean about power. You say that some people wouldn't recognize it. Some people wouldn't be influenced by your words. But if you truly own your power, own who you are, those words are so powerful that it would go to the very core of who they are. And because you own your power, they would recognize your power, and they would, because they don't own theirs, they would cower at your power.
Well, what's interesting about what you say is this, in different words, this is pretty much the same thing that the man called Jesus, or what, like said. Same kind of same.
Well, we spoke, the Nazarene was an extension of us.
Right.
And we did give him these words. And he didn't use all of them. He certainly used some of them. A lot of them were twisted later on through the writings of his followers. But it was a fairly good. It's a good story, though, isn't it?
Well, so if he was an extension of you, and we're all one, am I not an extension? Is Tom not an extension? Yeah.
We have surrounded all of you throughout all of your existence, past, present, and future. So you are not separate from us.
So that brings up the question for me is, what's humanity's self-empowerment and continued existence? Why is that important to you?
It's not that it's important. It's that the opportunity is there to shift it. Look at it from this perspective. Importance assigns judgment. We're not judging your choices. We're simply saying you have an opportunity to change it if you choose.
Right.
And the key question is, do you choose? And we provide the opportunity to create that shift, and it's a question of, does humanity choose? When we extended ourselves and created the Nazarene, the idea was to create a shift to empower humanity. And it's the benefit of the Nazarene was that he did create an amazing shift in consciousness from one perspective. But so many individuals, call it hijacked his words, that it created religion, and religion is the most disempowering thing to humanity right now.
Right. Of course, we had religion before he came along, for sure.
Well, yes, but he created a new one.
Oh, yeah, well, that's...
He moved away from a multiple gods to a single god, which was a great idea. However, it did hijack a great deal of humanity. It did move them away from their empowerment. And humanity being what it is, they used his words to their advantage.
I couldn't agree with that more, that's for sure.
So now we're coming through in this form, through this one, in order to present once again an opportunity for humanity to change.
Right.
Some will choose, some will not. Some will call it the devil incarnate. Some will say, this is the most wonderful thing there is. Some will judge, some will not. Each individual will choose based on their own perspective of fear and self-judgment. But ultimately, we can assure you of this, that the human consciousness, all of humanity right now, has gained enough awareness of our existence that they are beginning to change. They are beginning to shift their consciousness sufficiently to allow a greater expansion of choice.
Right.
And that is what we wanted to create.
And that and you want to do that just because you want to do that.
It's an opportunity.
Yeah, but when you say it's an opportunity, there are lots of opportunities. Why are you choosing that particular opportunity?
Why not? We at the very same time we're having this conversation with you. We're having conversations with virtually every other essence on every other planet in third-dimensional reality and in every other dimension at the same time. So our whole point of reference, if you want to call it that, our whole sense of being, is to expand all that exists.
Right. So in human understandings, the statement that we're all one really implies the existence of a greater one.
No. In the human understanding, there is a willingness to assign an existence of a greater.
Okay.
Because after all, you see yourself as lesser than.
So the word greater. So the word greater is what you're taking. Is what we need to throw out of there. Is that?
Yes.
I got it. Okay.
There is nothing greater. All there is one.
So you say there are 32 dimensions. Is that correct?
Well, we gave that as a model for humanity to enjoy, to appreciate. The main reason we did that is because humanity's consciousness was stuck on the perspective of judgment.
Right.
So we gave them something to judge. You see?
Okay.
But if you think of it, 32 dimensions is a great number to try to give humanity a new awareness of expansion of consciousness. It gives them a perspective that they can move towards.
Well, just in the last, 75 years or so, we've come to understand that, or even less than that, that science now at least admits to 11 dimensions. So.
Yes, but they're only seeing it from a scientific perspective, and those are the 11 dimensions, which are separations of third dimension. So really,
they're different dimensions, is what you're saying?
Yes, they're dimensions of third-dimensional reality versus dimensions of consciousness.
Okay. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm with you there. So, is there life after death, or is there even death?
No.
And
death doesn't exist. Life after death exists, yes.
And are we just energy
yes.
with consciousness taking different shapes and forms?
It is through judgment that you've created yourself in a physical realm. It is judgment that keeps you in the physical realm. It is judgment that keeps this physical realm the way it is. If it were not for judgment, third-dimensional reality would not exist.
So are there other groups like your group?
No. We are rather unique. There are many, many sources speaking presently throughout all of existence. There's a lot of them on your particular planet. However, all of those are part of who we are.
So, why do we seem to need war? Why do we seem to be hell bent on self-destruction here? What's the motive behind that?
Look at it from your own personal perspective, dear George. In your life, when you yourself were looking to shift and change, when you were afraid prior to it shifting and changing,
right?
What did you do? Did you do it lovingly, expand yourself and say, I love myself, I can expand, I can choose freely? Or did you do it through self-harm first?
Fire on my backside.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
War is nothing more than the willingness to harm the self in order to hopefully, and the word is hopefully, create an opportunity for a greater expansion.
Yeah, one of the things I've been coming to most recently really embraces what you're saying there, and that some of these things that I thought were bad, I've begun to wonder if maybe they aren't just there to push us into different choices.
Once again, there's no bad and there's no good. Nothing is bad and nothing is good. It just is.
Well, it certainly seems like it when you've got a rock thrown and crashes into your forehead, so...
Agreed. And you might judge it as bad, or you might look at it as an opportunity to change bodies again.
Well, there was a pretty famous physicist back in the early '50s that made the statement that there's only basically two things in the universe, and that's points to view and points of view.
There you go. And we would suggest that he was partially correct, and that was only because that was based on third-dimensional reality universe.
See, that's the problem with being a stick person here.
That's right. You're only seeing it from the perspective of perception.
Right.
And if you see it from that perspective, that everything is perception, then really everything can be changed, can't it?
Well, the thing that I think we run into as human beings in this dimension is our will kind of gets in the way, and our willingness to let go of some of these old beliefs that we have. I don't know if it goes back to the old reptilian brain, where when we walked out of the cave, we had to make darn sure we made the right choice, or get eaten, or what it is. But boy, we can certainly grab an idea or a belief and ride it right into until it's just of no value anymore. We proved that with the idea of the flat Earth, didn't we?
Yeah, but you see, once again, those are just fears.
Right.
It is the fear of change, really, that most individuals fear. The fear of fear really is the greatest fear. So when they're so afraid of fear that they'll do everything to avoid fear, including not changing, then that's the best that they can do. This evening, we had a conversation with a number of individuals prior to your conversation with you. And we suggested that there are three things that they can do, ways that they can live life, based on third-dimensional reality life, that is. You can live through fear and never change and really contract and stay in fear. You can live with fear and choose in spite of fear, and then you live in a struggle because you're always struggling to try to avoid fear.
Right.
Or you can choose to live without fear and then just create movement through choice.
Well, the thing I've come to understand is 99% of what I fear really falls under two kinds of fear. One, the fear of that I'm going to lose something I have.
Yeah.
Or fear that I'm not going to get something I want. And
both of them are based on one fear, the fear of lack.
Absolutely.
Now, take your hands, and in your left hand is everything that you could possibly desire.
Uh-huh.
And in your right hand is everything that you want, that you think you're missing.
Right.
You're so focused on your right hand, you're not seeing everything you have in your left hand.
Yeah, that's why gratitude is so important.
Well,
at least in my world.
Think of acceptance as opposed to gratitude.
Well,
accept everything that there is.
Acceptance is a particularly big part of my life. It's been
good for you.
Yeah, it's a really important part of it. First place, without acceptance, I'm in a struggle that doesn't even exist. I can't do anything about. Well, I have to accept before I can even make another choice.
And you can accept all that there is.
So, let me take this a little bit more on the self-destruction thing. If humanity destroys itself and we are one, how does that affect you?
It contracts that which we are.
Okay, so in some way you become somewhat smaller, whether it's in a minute amount or.
As someone would say in Star Wars, there is a movement in the Force.
Right.
You see?
I do. The thing I guess that I'm having a bit of a difficulty comprehending is that the motive for helping humanity is only that it's a possibility.
There is no motive. You see, you live by motive because motive is based on judgment, right and wrong, good and bad.
Right.
But there is no motive. There is only choice. We chose.
Well, yeah, but choice takes a motive. I mean,
No,
I have to be motivated to make the choice.
You do, but we don't. We just choose. And think of it as we said to you. There's three ways for you to live.
Well, for just choosing, you're pretty organized and pretty. I mean, I'm not arguing with this. I'm really trying to understand. That's why I'm asking these questions. I'm trying to wrap my brain around all this. For choosing, it seems to me that you have and once again, this may be because I just, I'm in that stick person and I can't see shadows, is that you have what appears to be, in what I've heard, motivations. When you talk about stopping humanity from annihilating itself.
We didn't say we would stop humanity.
Right.
We said we are creating the opportunity for humanity to not self-destruct itself.
Right. But that, from my limited view, and I guess maybe limited, that implies a motive to me.
Then consider it from this perspective. In all of existence, there are so many choices that we cannot possibly give you account.
Right.
You are but one choice.
Right.
That's all.
But a choice.
And you are one of the countless other choices that we make.
So it's a choice without motive.
Exactly. It's just a choice.
Okay. So are there other realities that are warlike like we are, or that are on this path of self-destruction?
There are many planets. There are many races in the what you call the universe, the known universe, that are very warlike like yourself. You're nothing compared to some of the others.
Is that right? What is the cause of all that warlike behavior? What is that? Fear. A necessity?
Fear, not necessity. Fear.
And who created all of this fear?
Free choice. Each individual. You have a free choice. This is the beauty of your existence.
Uh-huh.
All of existence, all essences within existence, have the ability to choose freely.
Right.
That's the beauty of it. So that's your power. You choose freely. Now, some choose to fear. Some choose not to fear. As we said earlier, there are three ways of living. Some choose to live without fear. Some choose to live with fear in spite of fear. And some choose to live with fear only. So it's choice.
I couldn't agree more that it's choice. I totally believe that it's choice. One of the things that I live my life by is I can choose to have a good day here, or I can choose that whatever's going on is bad. And what I understand in my world is that life is sweet even during the times that I might feel are difficult. And I choose
because everything that you see as a difficulty is nothing more than an opportunity for growth and expansion that you've judged.
And fortunately, I've really come to understand that better in my world, and do try to act on that. So tell us a bit about the group of 12. Have we got enough? Can you give us just a synopsis of the group of 12?
Oh, you like that, do you?
Yeah.
It's a group of 12 individuals that literally are capable of manipulating the psychology of the planet.
Uh-huh.
And they have the ability to alter and shift the psychology through manipulation, and they do it for their own benefit.
And is there a particular reason that 12 is that significant at all? That there are 12, that there are not just 11?
No, but it is rather call it biblical, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But it's not. There's no real significance other than this group formed from religion event. That was their basic tenet originally, was in religion, and they came from religion, and so they use certainly the biblical analogy for themselves, and they've maintained that the group of 12 as a way to maintain, call it a working group. Anything more would be a little too cumbersome. Anything less wouldn't be as efficient. Do you think?
Yeah, and I think this whole idea of 12 because of Jesus and the disciples was a bit of a misnomer. Actually, it's 13, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So if there's a group of 12 that's able to manipulate the planet, what are my choices here? I choose not to participate in that. Correct. Yeah. And then what effect can they have on me?
Again, it's a game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very much a game.
So it's up to you to decide whether you want to play with the game or not. So you can live your life being afraid of others and afraid of their manipulation. You can live your life being manipulated by them, or you can just live your life.
Right. Well, in some aspects, we're manipulated anyhow. If DNA is a reality, certainly I've got some manipulation going on in my DNA somewhere along the line.
Well, and you tend to like to manipulate yourself anyway, so that's good too.
Without question. And you know, the reality is it is a game, and I see it constantly with people who are histrionic and into drama and into, you know, it's the good story. You have to have a protagonist and an antagonist.
Yes.
And we do like stories.
Well, again, this is where judgment comes. You said protagonist and antagonist.
Uh-huh.
So really, for every left there is a right, for every up there is a down. And you live in a world of polarity, which is a world based on judgment. If you were to eliminate judgment, you would recognize there is no such thing as polarity.
Yeah, my question is, we do live in a world of polarity. My question is, and not question, my problem with this is not understanding or not having experienced my ability to get past the polarity in the dimension that we're in.
Yeah, but you've gotten past some of it in some parts of your life.
Yes, I agree with
that. So
that.
if you can get past some of it in some parts of your life, you can get past all of it in all of your life.
Well, hopefully, because that's what I would certainly like.
Well, again, that's a question of choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
You say you'd like to, you strive for it, but you must choose it. The alternative is you keep wishing that you would, but you never actually quite choose it. There's a good saying that we've given humanity that wishers never choose and choosers never wish.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
Be a chooser, not a wisher, and then you can choose anything that you want.
So don't be a wishy-washy chooser, right?
Well, there's no such thing as a wishy-washy chooser.
So
there's either a chooser or a wisher.
So at any rate, you know, this time has gone especially fast this evening. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you so much for.
And we do thank you.
And thanks for putting up with my questions.
Your questions were brilliant, dear George.
I do
Just
appreciate.
recognize your own brilliance for a change.
Thank you. I think I'll take that advice.
And to you, the appreciation of all.
Thank you. And Maggie, I think we'll have to have you come in if you would.
Yes. Thank you, George. When does Réné move to end this session?
Please.
Please perform all healings that are chosen.
Done.
Please relax the body to its natural state now.
And to you all, the appreciation of all.
The appreciation of all wonders. I would like Réné to awake feeling completely loved now.
Whoa, what a session. Came out of that session, it was like I could see, it was almost like I could see people moving in one direction and people moving in the other. It's like 50 elephants pulling one way, 50 elephants pulling the other way. And all I could see was that all of a sudden in the middle was this one little guy. It was a tiny, tiny little person. And he stood in the middle. And by standing in the middle, everything changed. That's it. That's all I got.
And that was, well, it's been a wonderful night, and it was a great session from this seat.
Good.
And I'm sure for our audience, it was also a great session. What did you think, Tom?
Yeah, I thought it went very well.
Tom was very appreciative of what went on. You know, I'll tell you what, Réné, we talk with many people who've written books and, you know, like who are involved in this similar kinds of thinking, and yours, I have to admit, was just superbly powerful.
Well, the wonders are amazing.
Yeah, they are definitely that. I at some point in the future, I'd like to have you back for another session somewhere
George,
down the road.
anytime you want us, you just let us know, because we will be there anytime. We love doing this kind of stuff, and it's a great way to expose the world of the wonders.
One of the things we're doing also, Réné, is we're bringing other shows on board, and we'll be contacting you about that at some point here in the future.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, you would be just a great thing to have on our broadcast company. And unfortunately, we're going to have to say goodbye. We've ran out of time, but thank you so much. Maggie, thank you, and I appreciate your willingness to be in the background there and be that support that you are.
Oh, thank you, George. Wonderful to be here.
Have a fantastic week.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night now.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, Tom, that was interesting. I liked the mental joust with all that.
Yeah.
The thing that and I don't know from your seat what you got. I was able to wrap my mind around a good deal of it. The thing that I find difficult is to take that past belief and thinking and make it a reality in my life, because this living without fear, that's for sure the way to live. I know I choose to live without fear. And with that, gosh, what a night we've had here. I guess where are we at? What time wise? We got any time left at all?
A couple minutes.
We got a couple minutes left. What would you have asked? Did you have any? Did that cue any questions for you?
No, I just really kind of sat back and just absorbed what was going on, George. It was overwhelming at times. So
Yeah.
I'd like to read the book. We'll have to call them and get them to send us a book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I think they've even started their own publishing company, and they've got a couple other books since their first one. So, all right. Well, with that, we've got a great guest lined up for next week. Be sure and come back. I totally enjoyed Rene and Maggie this evening, and thank them and the Wonders very much. I just appreciated their taking their time to come and talk with us. That they would make that choice. And don't forget, come back next week. And in the meantime, accentuate the positive and have a fantastic week.